It's on you.
How's everyone doing?
All right.
First, let me tell you a little bit, well, not so much about myself. My name is Jonathan Wilson. I am the brother of the playwright. Hello, everyone. I see Dr. Mandrill coming on now. How you doing, Dr. Mandrill? You have to unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
I'm doing great, sir. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
The play stuff was awesome. It kind of touched in on some areas where I began to look at myself and say, well, am I doing this? I began to examine myself to make sure that I wasn't doing anything like that, and to make sure that that I saw some of the key things in the play that I saw. Well, first thing I want to do is I want to give a moment of silence to all those that have experienced domestic violence, whether they made it through or they didn't make it through. So let's just take maybe a minute, a 10 second or 15 second moment of silence just for the domestic survivors, the domestic violence survivors. Amen. And I may say amen and praise God because you know when you put a preacher on here, we have to give our homage to God. But we're gonna start first. What I want to do is I want to give our actors a chance to introduce themselves and just give us a little bit about themselves. Maybe give them a 1 minute or 2 minute introduction of yourself. Doesn't matter who start.
Okay, hi guys, my name is Arlene. I just want to say, first of all, thank you to Reggie and Fulton for having me be a part of this piece. This is a very powerful piece. Yeah, as Reggie said, even with the tough technical difficulties. I've been doing theater for a while. I've done readings and done shows with both Fulton and Reggie. That's all I'll say about me. That's all I'll say. I'm short.
Okay.
Let's
go
to Keith.
Okay.
Where's Keith?
It might be on mute because it was echoey.
No, I don't see him at all.
Okay, Rhonda, let's go with you.
Hi, I'm Rhonda, and I was reading the part of Sable. I'm Rhonda Wilson, and I'm in Florida now, so I'm just excited and glad to be a part of this with Fulton and Reggie and the rest of the talented cast on such I guess it's powerful topic and theme. I've been doing theater for a while, acting, directing. I also run a theater and I teach theater at school. So I mean, theater is pretty much my life. And I just want to say, people who are survivors, or I know people that have been through domestic violence. It's not a pretty picture, but we're here to help people survive and empower people. And I hope that's what this play does.
All right, Malachi.
My name is Malachi. I played the part of Little Keith, and I'm in 4th grade, basically going on to 5th grade and that shit.
Okay. Claire.
Hi, I'm Claire Dean. I played the part of Dr. Janice Thatcher. I'm just so grateful to have been a part of this project, and yeah, it was a privilege to play Janice, and it was a privilege to work with everyone. Thank you.
Wayne.
Hey everybody, my name's Wayne Willinger. I played Sean, and Reggie and I went to grad school together. It just was dumb luck that we, his dumb luck, just kidding, that we got together and at that time, and we worked on this piece once before. You know, well, he did all the work, but I was involved at this piece once before, and we became friends, and we lived together in Harlem. And it was really nice to meet all of y'all that I hadn't met before. I did meet Keith and Fulton previously, but it's been a real pleasure to meet you guys, and I hope to do something together again someday. Thank you.
Okay, just a point. Claire and Wayne are streaming from London, y'all. So we glad to have y'all.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay. You know it's late over there.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Gil.
How you doing? My name is Gil. I played the part of Woody. I had the pleasure of working with Fulton for years now. We did a Soldiers play, I'd say close to 20 years ago. And then we did it again recently with the Negro Ensemble Company. And that's when I met Reggie Wilson, who was our assistant director, who gave me a lot of great pointers. And he put the military in our piece. And it's a pleasure to see this piece that he wrote. This piece means a lot, especially right now, due to the fact that you got a lot of people locked down, and they said abuse is up by 50% right now. So I'm praying that a lot of people that are going through these issues had an opportunity to check this piece out, because it gives you an internal look into a lot of different sides of abuse. So I just want to thank you guys for having me involved, and it was a pleasure to do this piece.
Great.
Okay, my reading stage manager, Khalil.
Unmute, baby.
Unmute.
That will help. I'm Kalia Prayer, also known as KP Square. I am a actress and director, drama teacher by trade. And I just want to say that I've been in love with this script since 2006 when I first read it and worked with Reggie. Was happy to work with this awesome cast and director.
Okay, is Keith back? Keith? Okay, Reggie, do you have like a short couple of words about Keith? Because I don't know if he's back. He may have left.
Keith is having a couple of difficulties with his phone again. But for those of you who do not know, Keith is my mentee. Keith came out of FAMU. When he first got to FAMU, he came on to me. He was a freshman. I was getting ready to leave, and he pretty much told me that he liked my work ethic and he wanted to learn, and that's what he did. Keith went to FAMU, and he's the kind of student that every lesson that I would tell him, no matter if it was hard, no matter how it was, Keith would take it and he would apply it. Keith also came to New York while I was in New York, and he stayed on my couch for about 6 months. And in that 6 months, Keith said to me, yo, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? So I gave Keith some pointers from what I learned. Keith went to New York. Keith made the front page of the newspaper. Keith was in a show with Classical Theater of Harlem. Keith was booking. He had a couple of health issues that he has recovered from now. He is a cancer survivor. And it brought him back to Florida. But he is a survivor of cancer. I love Keith for that. Keith is my mentee. He's also my brother, and I owe him everything for doing this.
Thank you. My name is Fulton Hodges, and been doing this for 44 years now. Okay, my resume goes from actor to director, playwright, stage manager, house manager, teaching artist, and fire guard. I've done it all. And I've taught for 19 years, taught teenagers for 19 years. And Reggie came to New York. We started working together at the New Federal Theater. And I saw his energy and I saw his compassion for theater. So I gave him his first job in New York in a play called Hades, Children of God. I also did his first reading of Scrambled Eggs in New York with the famed Frank Severo Writers Workshop. I worked with Gil, as he said, for many, many years, and I worked with my girl Arlene for many, many years as well. And I was very, very happy to work with this group of actors this time around. And, you know, we'll keep our relationships going. You know, the play is very, very deep to me. You know, when I sit back and I listen and hear the words, you can't help but get and feel a certain way, especially with so much domestic violence that is happening in the world. So, Reggie, kudos to you. I say kudos to you. And thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, that's again. We want to thank all of you who performed in tonight's play. I see y'all. I see all y'all wearing that purple. That purple was real good on you all. Even though we know that purple and white is the color for domestic violence. I want to thank you all as a brother of Reginald Wilson for supporting him and all he's done. I know my brother has been in full go with his plays that he's written and his ideas. I mean, you can sit down and you can talk to him about something. While you're talking, you'll see him start writing, and he's writing a play. I am very proud of him for what he's doing, and I am very happy that he has chosen to pursue and continue to go after things that he has that he feels that God has given him, no matter what obstacles he has to face. Now, what we're doing is again we're going to thank you again for all actors for acting, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to introduce all of the panelists for the night, because we're here to do a panel discussion on domestic violence. So we're going to go ahead and introduce all the panelists for the night. We're going to start first with my mother. I got to start with her. My mother is Dr. Vivian Wilson, and I'm going to ask her to speak a little bit, give a little bit about herself. We're going to try to limit it to 2 minutes for each introduction. If you see my hand do this right here, that means it's time's up. Go ahead, Dr. Wilson.
Good afternoon. I'm so happy to be on the panel tonight. Kudos to my sons, Reginald Wilson and Jonathan Wilson. Congratulations, Reggie, on a successful play. I'd like to give excellent kudos to this stellar cast that performed tonight. Now, if you can do this well at a reading, I can only imagine what will you do in person at the play. You guys were absolutely fantastic. Enjoyed the reading tonight. That's all about me. I'm just saying, my children are better than your children. I'm just mommy.
All right. We're gonna go now to Dr. Gerald Mandrell. Hey man, ask him to introduce himself. Go ahead, Dr. Mandrell.
God bless you. I am Superintendent Gerald Mandrell, a pastor of Life Changes Church of God in Christ here in Tallahassee. I was looking at this, and really my mind began to think about the fact that even though we're in a pandemic, we've forgotten all about the pandemic of domestic violence. You know, this has been around for a while, and this has been even yet a great issue. And I thank God for this production to bring it back into the minds and hearts of people, that we shouldn't be just on the reactionary side after a violent event happened, but we need to now look at ways that we can try to prevent some of these occurrences from happening. So again, kudos, and we pray God's blessing upon you.
All right, thank you very much, Superintendent Mandrell. We're gonna go down to his wife, Dr. Judy Mandrell.
Good evening, everyone. You all did an excellent job. This was very powerful. I worked with the Department of Children and Families and Protective Services for many years, and dealing with child abuse, domestic violence was very prevalent. We were just talking about this. We ready to do a show. I do have my own radio show. Reggie, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to participate tonight. And I love that you all depict every aspect of domestic violence, from the man being abused and violent, and the woman, and also the child. So tonight was fantastic, so much revelation in this, and I thank you so very much. I am a graduate of FAMU University, and I am the proud wife of Gerald Mandrell for 39 years. So I am happy about that. Thank you, Jonathan.
All right, and we have one more panelist, and that is Dr. D. Jerome Garrett.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jerome Garrett. I'm excited about being here. I was really am amazed at the cast. You did a phenomenal job. I was there at the conception and the birthing of this particular piece. I remember getting an assignment out of Madison to work with the Refuge House. And after getting that assignment, I had an idea to do a play. And I called my friend, Reginald, my friend and brother, and I said, I want to do a play. And so he was down with that, and he began to write the play and put the play together. He did the play, and I wrote the songs to go to the play. So I'm excited about what is about to take place, that you're at a phenomenal place in your life, and greater is coming. And so as a therapist, I see people every day, not in the addiction side, but in the mental health and addiction disease side. And so I saw a lot of trauma in this particular play. I saw a lot of stressors that cause certain things. I saw the alcoholic. I start diagnosing different people as I began to watch them in the play with the narcissistic personality disorder. I saw that kind of thing going on, but I'm excited, and I'm a lover of the arts, and I love when we take social problems and put them on stage to raise the awareness of people. And this is how the message is going to get out, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. Thank you for letting me share.
And we have one more, Jonathan. We have one more panelist. We have a survivor. Her name is Laura Williams.
Okay. Laura,
hey, everybody. Hi.
How you doing?
I'm Laura Williams. I am a domestic abuse survivor. I've actually been in a few domestic abusive relationships. Thankfully, one of them actually produced my daughter, and we were both able to get out of that situation alive and well. It wasn't easy. To the cast who put this play on, or I should say, who read this evening, I want to say you guys did an amazing job, because as I watched or as I listened, I could see myself in the situation that I was in. And as you guys discussed certain things in it, specifically, I think you played Dr. Janice, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct? Right. You really kind of brought back a lot of things for me that I went through and didn't realize I was actually going through. So again, kudos to you guys. This was amazing. As it was said before, this was just a reading, so I can only imagine the actual play. I would love to be able to come when it actually gets on stage and is put out there and done. I'm from Florida, so I don't care if it's here in Georgia, where I'm located now, or out in Florida. I will come and I will be a part of it. And thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of this.
Excellent. Okay. Lastly, welcome to all the panelists. I can say that I did have opportunity to go down to the University of Florida, and I believe it was a play actually, or maybe a reading, but whatever it was, as we were there, and I began to listen to the play, it brought up emotions into me, and I began to I guess see the person as in the real life. I can say that I have never been in a domestic relationship, and I thank God for that. But I do pray, and I certainly pray for those that have been in. With you, Laura, I'm glad you were able to survive and get out. Amen. And I just know that this is something that's talked about, but it's not talked about, because a lot of times people are afraid to bring it out. They don't want nobody to know that they're being abused. They want to seem as though their relationship is only up and up, and there is no destruction going on in their life, and that everything is going well. And we know that some signs can also be ignored. Those that want to tell but are afraid to tell, and they begin to show the signs to their friends, and their friends ignore them by doing things like, oh, it's nothing, oh, it's be okay, or you may have some, oh, or I think it's you. And one of the biggest things that I saw in the play is that and I see and I've seen it in relationships, is that it seems as though they put the blame on the one that's being abused. And so one of the first questions that I want to ask is, how do we as people help someone that's being abused know that it's not their fault?
And let's allow the cast to answer first, and then the panel.
Cast.
Are you
still on, Cast?
One of the things that has to happen is we all have to sit back and we have to understand what are those symptoms. What are those symptoms? What are the signs? What are the red light signs that you see that, you know, falls under? Because domestic abuse can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be physical. So one of the things that we have to do is we have to, you know, attack it and come to seeing it right when it happens. All right, we have to attack it and see it right when it happens. Otherwise, it will go, it will expand, it will fester and stuff. So if we identify it in an earlier stage, we may be able to actually curb and save the individual victim. Okay, because sometimes what ends up happening is we acknowledge and find out too late. And I'm talking about the victim. Before that, it's a matter of serious physical harm or even death. So acknowledging and finding out what those symptoms are is one of the things that we have to touch on first.
May I say this? I think part of the problem, especially during the play, is that there's some cultural issues. One, we find out that she learned from her parents on how to train her to be submissive. And because of that, I believe her self-esteem was beaten down too low. So therefore, her self-esteem had to be built up for her to believe in herself, to believe in, have confidence in her being able to be a survivor. And I think that's a lot of problems that we see in domestic situations. One of the people or one of the individuals, actually their self-esteem and their belief in their own self is minimized, and that is something that is constantly worn away by the abuser. Keep, wearing away their self-esteem, their ability to believe in themselves, but passed down for her from. And so it build that person's confidence in themselves, to get them the ability to believe that I can lead and that I will survive.
The other thing we have to be aware of is that domestic abuse is so subtle. And many times we are not there at the purchasing of the egg and the cracking of the egg. As onlookers, by the time we see them, the egg would have been purchased, cracked, scrambled, and we're seeing the results of what has already taken some time. And that time process can be a month, it can be a year, because it is a brainwashing type of thing. And by the time we see it from the outside, many times it's too late. And that's why it's so important that everyone has a friend. Have someone that you can talk with about anything, whether it's your parents or a good friend, your pastors, your teacher, someone that you trust, that you tell your little secrets to, because what you think is normal may not be normal. So you have that person that you can talk with that won't always agree with you, but will always point you to the right directions, not trying to take from you, but trying to keep you alive. And what you think is funny, that person may say, something is not normal about that. Tell me more. Let me hear more. Let me observe it more. Does he do it behind closed doors only? How is he in the public? We need to start asking questions. We need to be better friends with one another. Everybody needs to have one friend. You don't need 10. One friend that you can tell things to in confidence that they can help pull you out before you get to that scramble part, before you're so scrambled and cooked that you can't walk out.
Yeah. And to add, I see Ron. And to add, I would say too that with the victim, we can't be so quick to just say get out. We have to express concern and not judge or blame. And working with the refuge house and all of that, we have to be real careful. I used to be in a place I would ask women, why don't you just leave? Just get out. And that's because I hadn't really experienced it. But in working with women and a couple of men, I've learned now how to express my concern, listen and validate them. Otherwise, they'll feel the blame. As Dr. Wilson stated, by the time we make mention of it to them, the egg is cracked and scrambled. And so we have to come in to add some type of validation to the one being either domestic violence or abuse, but not blamed, without judging and blaming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people in the situations, and the sad thing is that okay, case in point, I knew a young lady when I was younger. We're still friends today, but she had grew up watching her stepfather beat her mother. And it got to the point where once she got old enough and she started getting into her relationships, she started feeling like, well, if a man didn't beat her, he didn't love her. And then it started to flip because of the fact that she felt that she had to lay hands on her man in order for him to hit her back. And like they say, sometimes we blame the victim when we really don't know the backstory. So it's about basically trying to get a lot of these people into counseling so that you can find out their backstory so that they can be helped. Because a lot of times they really don't even understand what's going on in their own life.
Okay. Dr. Garrett?
In the whole issue of taking it from a traumatic perspective, I like what Dr. Mandrell said, Dr. Jerry Mandrell. I want to piggyback on that. Some things, because parents, first let me answer your question. Sometimes the abuser may always feel like it's their fault, even after they left. They may feel like, I'm stupid for staying. They'll beat themselves up over and over and over again. That's why the counseling is going to be necessary. But like he said, with the backdrop, there's a lot of history that comes with traumatic people or people who have been victimized. So nobody really sets out to say, I want him to beat me. But psychologically, if it's been warped, if your mindset has been warped based on what you saw growing up. And so that's why when we do a lot of psychoanalytic therapy, we have a tendency to go back and listen to the history in order to kind of correct some of that distorted cognitive distortion. And so I think that at this point in time, like others have said, before you buy the egg and before you crack it, beat it, fry it in a pan, before we come to that point, there has to be some things. But I think self-esteem is already damaged before they go into the relationship. Their self-esteem is already low. And if you have an authoritarian parent who, like in this play, the mother was over the top, the father was a little passive. She did not build autonomy in her daughter. And so she kept telling her what to do. Even as a grown woman, she was telling her what to do. And so I can imagine what that was like being a child. So she didn't develop a level of autonomy and independence in terms of her thinking. And so she married, and in couples counseling, they say you either marry your mother or you marry your father. She married her father. She married her mother, the prototype. She married a mother, the personality type. The husband was overbearing, telling her what to do. And so she went from one situation to the next situation. So there is a connection there. And then he was an alcoholic on top of being narcissistic. So she'll probably always feel, until she get counseling, that this is my fault. What could I have done to get out of that? Thank you for letting me share.
All right. You all, that was some excellent responses. Just to grab hold of some of the things you all said. One of the things I heard was you have to attack when it happens. You have to attack when it happens, and that's and to me, I like to say that in order for you to attack when it happens, you have to know when it happens. And if you don't know when it happens, then it can be kind of difficult to attack it. But once you find out that you have a friend of yours that's a friend or a colleague or someone, it may be someone who you don't know, who comes to you and confides in you about being going through domestic violence. The time to act is now. It's not to wait or she said don't tell or he said don't tell. No, the time is to tell now. Because you never know, that day when they say don't tell is the last thing they'll say to you. Don't tell, because they may go home and you may not see them again. I also heard say that a lot of women, and forgive me saying women, a lot of people that go through domestic violence go through because of lack of self-esteem, and they need validation, and they find validation no matter how hurtful it comes to them. If they feel that person is validating them, they are afraid to leave, and then they emulate what they've seen, and as Dr. Garrett was saying, they emulate it from their home lifestyle, from what they see from their father or from their mother. They generally go out and marry who they were raised by. I saw in the play also where the father was kind of passive. He taught the game. He taught it outside the house, but inside the house, her mother wore the pants, and her mother showed her that I can dominate over him, because he's talking to you in this, but when he gets around me, he doesn't have that, and so she's confused. She's like, okay, who do I emulate? Who do I go after and marry? And there was no real validation in who she was and what she wanted to do. I looked at some statistics about domestic violence, and I saw where it says on average nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million men or women who are abused. Can I get that? 20 people per minute. So if you sit there and you count to 60, that's 20 people that are going through a bout of domestic violence. 1 in 4 women, 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence, intimate partner contact sexual violence, intimate partner stalking with impacts such as injury, fearfulness, post-traumatic stress disorder. 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. 1 in 7 women and 1 in 25 men have been injured by a partner. One of the things that really stuck out to me was that it said the presence of a gun in a domestic violence situation increased the risk of homicide by 500%. With the presence of a gun, intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crime. All violent crime. Now, we haven't heard that much from our writer of the play. That's Mr. Reginald Wilson. So I want to give him a chance now to come on and say something. But while he's coming, I want y'all to think about some of that data I just said, and come up with and speak on ways in which we can help people in that situation. How can we help them? How can what can we do to raise awareness, and what can we do as a person to help this get out to people? Go ahead, Reggie.
All right. So just to talk real quick about scrambled eggs, Deidre Garrett, he mentioned earlier back in, I think it was 2006. We were already working on a production. I think it was the production we were working on at the time was would be the next reading that we're going to do is our Platinum Grill Spirit Field, and it dealt with another form of social awareness. It dealt with judging the book by its cover. That play talks about a young man who goes into the church with baggy clothes on, platinum grill, a bunch of dreads, and the church doesn't accept him. And it's all because of his image. And it's the church mother, who I wrote after my mama, excuse me. The church mother and her granddaughter, they see promise in the young man, and they witness to the young man, and they realize that he went through his abuse. I mean, he went through everything that he was wearing. He was wearing the baggy clothes, the dreads, the grill, because he was trying to cover up the person that he really was. He was not this big tough guy, but he didn't want people to be punking him. He didn't want people to be too aggressive to him, so he put on this image. So that's how D. Jerome and I started first working together. Now, we go back to childhood, to when I was like little. But we first started working with that production, and that production was well, and he came to me and he had 5 songs. He had 5 songs, and he said, I got these 5 songs, and I've been commissioned by the Refuge House to write a play. And he said, let me see, can you write a play? And I looked at those songs. I believe it was I'm Not Taking the Blame, It's All My Fault, Baby, I'm Sorry. And those songs were so powerful that the pen just started writing. I just started writing. I mean, I couldn't start. I just started writing. And I think it was about 4 days later, I went to D. Jerome, I said, look at this one. Here's a script. It wasn't as long as this script is right now. It was probably about 25 pages then, but it told the story with the songs. And since then, I've been developing this play, developing it at University of Florida in New York City. And now I have this extended version, which is 64 pages. And the songs are coming back. I just wanted to make sure that the story is told fully first. Now, when you get into the story, everyone has already spoke about it, and I do want to hear how the cast went through their preparation, because I know it was tough, especially when it's on his feet. Wayne, my classmate, he was a part of it in Gainesville, and it was a tearjerker. Every night it was a tearjerker, because just like Laura said, people start to see themselves inside the play. And when I was watching Fulton direct the play, Fulton is a great director, and make sure y'all hire him out there. When Fulton was directing the play, it was so important, and I was trying to also get the cast to realize, oh, you have to remove yourself, because this person is a collection of people. Terrence is a collection of Terrences. Sable is a collection of Sables. And I wrote the play in a way that it was so many nuggets in the play that somebody was going to identify. Somebody was going to see themselves. Somebody, oh, that part was me. I didn't really go through that part, but that part was me. It's so important to me, this thing on domestic violence. I'm all about social awareness. And so when I started doing my research, and I started seeing the way some of the victims were trapped, and I'm sitting there to myself wondering, as I'm reading these case files, like, why you ain't leave? Why your mama didn't grab him? I was wondering all of these things, and it took a lot of research. It took a lot of writing. It took a lot of me swallowing my own gall, because whenever I hear Terrence, I'm the playwright, y'all. Whenever I hear Terrence, I want to choke him. I want to choke him, and I wrote the lines. I want to do what everybody else want to do, but at the same time, I want to choke Sable too. I don't know why, but I get upset with Sable. And I'm not supposed to get upset with Sable. But I'm like the mother. Like, what are you, he want a gun at a raffle? Like, how dumb are you? Literally, I'm like, yo, like really, like, how dumb can you be? So when I was writing this play, I had to put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up. Ask somebody else, yo, read this part and tell me what you think. Yo, read this part and tell me what you think. For me to read the whole script was so hard. Even when I'm working on the script, to just read the entire script is hard, because I see the faces of all of the victims. I see the faces of all of the abusers. So the easiest way when I wrote the play, and I remember D. Jerome read the play, and he said, "Oh, this is good. What you gonna call it?" And it wasn't a title. And I want to say the title came straight from God, came straight from heaven. Scrambled eggs. Look at the analogy. Look at the correlation. The victim has to find the abuser. We got to find the egg. The victim cracks at the victim. The abuser cracks at the victim with all the different forms of abuse: psychological, mental, all different types of abuse. And then once he has her broken, once the egg is broken, that's the time that you put it inside the bowl. The abuser, he isolates her from the outside world. Your mama don't like you. Don't forget about Janice. Janice wants me. Janice is a whore. Janice is this. Janice is that. Because he wants Janice to turn against. He wants Saber to turn against Janice too. Once she's isolated in that bowl, the egg cannot run out the bowl. That's when the beating starts. That's when the abuser takes that fork and starts to beat those eggs. And you know, we think that to get an egg softer, we have to keep beating it, keep beating it, keep beating it. Once it's soft, it's to your perfect. Once you get it to your perfect texture, you pour it into the skillet and you fry it for consumption. It's done. It's dead. There is no more. That egg is now his. He's going to eat it. He's going to swallow it, and we're not going to see that egg no more. We are trying to stop that. We are trying to stop this from, we're trying to stop it at the cracking of the egg. That's why we say, don't let them break your egg. Don't let them break your egg. Boil it. That's all. I'm sorry, y'all.
Listen, and that's when the song came, the theme song, scrambled eggs, crack 'em, beat 'em, fry 'em in a pan. Don't you be like those scrambled eggs, stand up for what you believe in. So that's how we got the theme song with scrambled eggs.
Yes. That's all I have to say.
Laura, we haven't heard from you, Laura.
I'm here. I'm just thinking about what I've been through, and a lot of things that were said are 100% correct, but I also want to note that a lot of times, and I'm speaking clearly on what I went through on my situation. Number one, I'm of Caribbean descent. My parents were born and raised in Jamaica. So the way I was brought up was whatever happens in the home stays in the home. Now, I have a lot of African-American friends, and through talking to them, I realized it's not just a Caribbean thing. It's more of a Black thing. So whatever happens in the home stays in the home. So one of the reasons why I never spoke out was because you don't put your business out there. But another thing that I want to be noted, a lot of times people in domestic violent situations like I was, don't even realize that what they're going through is violence. Because oftentimes you hear the word violence and you think of being shot, you think of being beaten and battered every day. You don't think of the emotional violence. You don't think of the mental breakdown that comes with domestic violence. You don't think that domestic violence has different facets, which I went through them all. The last phase for me was the physical abuse. And once my daughter's father attempted to physically abuse me, he threw a remote at me, and that was the thing. You know, I was like, well, I'm not being abused. I mean, he just threw a remote at me. He didn't like black my eye, or he didn't kick me, but before he threw the remote, he cursed me. He moved me out of the state of Florida where all my family and friends were. He moved me away from everything and everyone that I knew. He told me that if I wasn't with him, then I wasn't nothing and I couldn't be nothing. So you don't think about all those things leading up to the physical of violence. And I pray to God, I would love it to be that before the physical comes the emotional, because to me, the physical is the worst. And if you can get to someone before that last, before the physical, it'll probably be a lot easier. But by the time they are physically abused, usually, like you said, that's it, they're done. So I just want it to be understood. A lot of times women or men even, I say women, of course, because it's more prevalent that women speak out, so you know more about it. But a lot of times people don't leave because they don't even know that they're in an abusive situation. They think this is normal. They think it's okay. And I also want to stress a lot of times when people tell people, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just get out? What were you thinking? It's a lot to do with lack of financial resource. As I said, lack of even knowing that you are in a bad situation, specifically an abusive situation, and just lack of feeling like you can tell. Even after I told my story to my family, people that I am blood related to, I was told, you know, you should have never left. You're stupid. That's the father of your child. Because please keep in mind, my parents are still married. They've been married now for over 30. I'm 35 years old. My parents have been married for 37 years. I'll be 36 in August. So we don't deal with broken homes. We don't know what that is. We don't know what it means to be a baby mama, baby daddy. That's not how I was brought up. So for me, it was shame. It was, oh my God, this is crazy. We don't do those things. That's not us. So there's so many different reasons why people stay and why they can't get out and why they don't say anything. And there's so much to it. It's hard to really pinpoint one specific thing when it comes to just anyone, because everyone has their own reasoning. And so each case, in my opinion, has to be dealt with on a case-by-case situation. There's no way that you can look at one specific situation and just treat them all the same.
Can I just ask you a question, Laura? Can I ask you a question? Sure. When exactly did you know it was time for you to get out of this relationship?
That was my question too.
Can we hold that question, because that was my question too.
Okay.
Same question. So hold on, Laura. You think about your answer, but hold on for a minute, because I want to talk about something that was mentioned in the play, and when I heard it, I kind of cringed in my shoe when I heard it, and it was coming on here. When Terrence spoke about his abuse and about what he went through, the line that came next was, "You deserved it."
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm telling you, when I heard that, I cringed in my shoes, because I said, if somebody told me that I deserved it, I probably would have given them some of it too. Because even though Terrence was the abuser, I believe he was the abuser, and he was one abuser. Nobody deserves to be abused, no matter if they are the victim or if they are the abuser. So I want y'all to just expound and because we got a lot of questions to ask, or some more questions to ask, I want to limit everybody to a quick 1 minute response, if you can. Everybody give 1 minute. How do you feel about that statement when Terrence began to talk about him being abused and he was told he deserved it? How do you feel about that?
I just couldn't believe that it came from the doctor.
Claire.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it came from the doctor. We, believe it or not, we as a cast discussed this already, and we were all on the same page. We were all like, well, why would you say something like that to somebody? But at the same time, I understand she was pissed off with Terrence, and that's why she said what she said. I felt that she said what she said just to hurt Terrence, but you know, it made no sense for you know, basically Terrence was an abuser because he got abused, and we never basically discussed that. Like you said, we just all kind of like took a step back when she said you deserved it, because nobody, I don't care who you are, nobody deserves that. You know, go ahead.
Well, I thought it was ingenious of the playwright to even put that line there, because it made us feel sorry for the victim, even though he was the villain in this particular case, abusing his wife. I thought it was ingenious of him because he caused us to have remorse and empathy for the person who was actually being abused. The other thing I'll add to that is, from a therapeutic perspective, as a therapist, she allowed her emotions to get involved, which she should not have said that in the first place. It was unprofessional of her. It was unethical of her. And because she was a friend to Stable, she probably shouldn't have been counseling in the first place if she couldn't have put her feelings in check. And with that, thank you for letting me share.
And I would like to one of the things.
Go ahead.
That was actually one of the things we did bring up too, about the fact that she's the therapist. Why would she say that to him? And then it also was brought up, well, the thing that you said she shouldn't have done was the thing that she did do, and that was she was coming from her own emotional frame of mind and had invoked that into this thing that they were going through, and that's something that should have been separated. But that was something that we had discussed too, that you're the therapist. You're the one supposed to really hold it in.
Her feelings get involved, and as a therapist, you're taught not to let your feelings get involved. Yep. But it was the reason why her feelings got involved was because this was her best friend. But she should have human too. In that case, she shouldn't have been counseling.
Yep. Let me share this really quick, if you all don't mind. When a therapist get to that particular place, they no longer are the therapist. If you take that word THERAPIST, the therapist become the rapist, just as guilty as the person who has committed the crime. No longer the therapist, because no one is listening to them anymore. They become the rapist. Secondly, I see this a lot with children. Children always take the blame. They feel like they're being abused because they didn't do their homework. They didn't come in when they were supposed to come in. They were disrespectful. I've seen children with cigarette marks on their backs and on their arms. I've seen children with rope burns on their arms, thinking they deserve to be tied up. They deserve to be burned because they didn't complete their homework. They didn't bring it home. They were disrespectful to father or disrespectful to mother. And that is the part that bothers me. You know, we see it a lot with the women and we see it a lot with men, but when you see little children coming, I mean, in elementary and middle and high school, saying that they received those marks because they deserve them, that's when it becomes a real problem.
Yeah.
Wow. Any other panelists want to say something?
Go ahead, Dave. I was about to say something, but Dr. Wilson, she called them the rapists, so I've just gone on to the next one.
Dr. Gerald, you want to say anything?
You say you want to say anything?
No, I'm fine.
Laura, we'll come back to that question, Laura. I promise we'll come back because I really want to. I want to give you more than a minute to speak about that question, which is why I don't want to hear it, hit it right now, because it is something that we need to hear. We need to know at what point was that you decided enough was enough. We've seen it in the play. In the play, what's the name? What's the name? Sable had a lot of support system around her, but we have people that don't have the support system, that find somewhere some inner strength inside them and say, hey, I gotta go. Then we have those that don't have the support system and they stay, and unfortunately they're now 6 feet under. And I'm so glad that you were able to get out, and I don't want you to discredit the remote throwing, because the remote throwing is the start, but in the next time it could have been a book thrown or a TV thrown or you thrown or a bullet coming. So it was good that you saw at that time, hey, this is just remote. And I know you ain't asked me to change no channel, so therefore I shouldn't have a remote thrown at me. And so it's at that point where I'm so glad that you decided to get out. But we do want to hear that story. But I want to ask another question.
Eugene,
yeah,
I'm sorry, Jonathan. Just to piggyback real quick on the question that is being given to Laura. She said something that was very important, because I know you said that it started with the throwing of the remote, but she gave a very good example of the isolation abuse. She was talking about everything that he was doing to isolate her from the outside world. And that's the part that we're trying to get everybody to identify. That part, before the cracking starts, you have to see what was happening. He was taking you away from your family, from your friends, moving you to a different state. Those are all the different tricks of isolation abuse. I just want to say that.
And then we go, and you go into the emotional abuse. All of that started too before that, because first thing he wanted to do was get rid of the friends. Let me move you further away from your family. I'm going to control the money. All of that is leading up to everything else. The physical abuse has been stated to that emotional abuse. That is one of the most terrible. Well, all of it is terrible, but that emotional abuse cracked you hard. When they start telling you nobody else want you, or you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you think you're pretty, you really not, you don't look good in that dress. That dress it doesn't fit you right. So they start all of that, and it's all started to get you to that. When you get to the physical abuse, it is that emotional abuse, the financial, economic abuse, isolation abuse, all of that comes in. And as Laura stated earlier, everybody is different. Jonathan, you asked a question, what do we do? Things like this. And it may not happen right away with some folks, but it has to be stated over and over and over and over again. And it has to come from so many different platforms. They have to hear it in the church. You'll be surprised of the women.
Oh, yes.
Abused by their husband, by their pastors. They are abused. We've dealt with it. My husband can tell you, I had over 10 women here in Tallahassee who called me and told me that their husband was beating them. One, they had to call me when he went out, and she had to get another number. He would check the phone, check the gas, check how many miles you put in the car. Why did you go here? Why are you talking to them? One of the pastors told his wife, stop talking to Pastor Judy. Don't talk to her. And I told her, she called me crying. He beat her slap crazy. And I told her to tell him if he hit her again, I'm going to put his name on my radio show. That he hit that Pastor so-and-so hit so-and-so. I told her I would do that. And if he hit her, she didn't tell me. But he did come. And he told me, I think you're crazy. I said, you hadn't seen crazy yet. Hit her one more time. And I promise you, with everything in me, I promise you. And he believed me, Pastor Wilson. He believed me. And we have to, but the victim or the person being abused have to gain trust. They are afraid.
They are afraid. Yeah.
They are afraid. They can't just leave. They really can't. And we have to get, but we got to make it aware. And like Sister Laura there and others who have gotten out, they have to tell a story. They have to tell it. They're not going to tell it until they got out. And they've been safe for a minute.
Yep.
Because the abuser has promised, I'm coming at you.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, what I want to dismiss is the misnomer or the mistaken identity, or y'all know what I'm trying to say, that there's levels of abuse. Well, all I had was all he did was cussing me. That doesn't make that abuse any smaller than the one that got beat. You know, it's all abuse, and all of it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be if you feel like you are in that abusive relationship, it's time for you to go. One thing Laura said was, I hope I said it right. She said that it's time to leave before the emotional becomes physical. And knowing that the emotional abuse, sometimes if you leave at the right time, you can get past it. But once someone, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that once they get into that physical mindset, they've already been emotionally beaten. They've already been beaten so bad emotionally to where they have no way out. just as Laura said, he moved her away. He isolated her, took her from all her friends, and made her feel like she was the only thing that he had. I mean, that he was her only way out, her only thing she had. And so I think I heard Dr. Mandrell say that, or somebody said that their financial situation caused them not to have nowhere to go. And so all that you got to do is come back to that abusive person. By that time, that physical moment, he has already beaten them down emotionally. He's already beaten them down financially. He's already taken every avenue for them to get out. Or he, and I say he, but there are some she's also. So the abuser has done so many things to get them to that point to where now I can start showing you my authority by putting my hands on you. But I saw Tyler Perry play, and Tyler Perry told him, "You tell him you can call the cops." Now, if he look at you and hand you the phone, run.
You better run.
But if he cries and whimpers like, "Oh no," that's when you have one more good beat down. Now that was funny in Tyler Perry play, but I've seen that to be so true in life to where we have to find a way to get out. So I'm open for anybody got any questions. Questions you want to ask before we I want to finish it off with the question that we asked her.
Let me say this before we go on. I think it's very, very important. We said emotional abuse, but I think we're using emotional and verbal abuse interchangeably.
Yes.
Because verbally, at some point in time, when you are verbally disrespected, that's connected to emotional. And it has a progression to it. And the minute that you identify that you're being verbally abused, you're already being emotionally abused, and then physical abuse is going to come after that. The thing that I want to highlight is that the abuser used intimidation, manipulation, and domination. Mm-hmm. And so we talk about this in the church. In the church, we call that's witchcraft. So they're being bewitched in their mind. Because it
you singing? You got it? So it's called you're being bewitched because they manipulate, they intimidate, they dominate you. So I manipulate you to do something. I'm going to intimidate you by raising my voice and hollering at you. And then I'm going to dominate you. And all of that is a part of the emotional abuse, the psychological abuse. And now you beat down emotionally. And so I think it's very, very important, anybody who's in that situation, to identify, are you being intimidated? Are you being manipulated? Are you being dominated? I think things like this happen before it's a precursor or the prerequisite before we even find ourselves in as a victim, because they done already manipulated you, they done already tried to intimidate you, and they done already showing domination, which is connected to a spirit of fear. And to go to the preacher side, we know that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but love, power, and a sound mind. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to be with nobody that you're afraid of. Okay? And I think that's important that we put that spiritual side in there. Thank you for letting me share.
And also for Laura, we all need to learn this and tell everybody that we can. Stop with that thing, what happens at the house stays at the house. Because you're going to end up dying at the house. Go out and tell somebody. Educate. I want to say earlier, we need to educate not only our women, but our men as well. We need to educate our children. We need to let them know what love is and what abuse is. We need to give it all to them. I remember when we first got into education all those years ago, they told us the 7 stages of grief. And I'm sure all of y'all have heard that. You can take those 7 stages of grief that Kubler-Ross gave all those years ago and apply it to what's happening with this abusive situation with the scrambled egg. The first thing we call blame, but it's called shock. I'm shocked that he's doing this to me. I'm shocked that he's moving me out of my house and taking me to another area. I'm shocked that he's uploading me from everything that I know, removing me, isolating me, won't let me contact my mom or my dad and my sister, my brother. And it's a shock thing. And by the time you get over the shock, you're in denial. Oh, that didn't happen. Then you go to your anger, you get mad because you wish you had done something that's shocking denial stage, and now you're in it so deep you don't know what to do. You're mad now, and then you start bargaining. Well, if I do this, he won't hit me anymore. If I do that, she won't hit me anymore. If I do whatever, everything's gonna be all right. And then we get to that depression. So we start being depressed. And that's when it started being noticeable. We have had 4 or 5 stages before it got to being noticeable. By the time we get there, we're so into what we're into. So let's start educating our people and tell them what they need to know in advance. And stop saying what happened at the house stays at the house. Many of us in and out of the church should have brought things out of the house a long time ago. Our self-esteem would be higher. Our weight would be lower. Our finances will probably be different, and we'll probably have a better and solid life. Take it out the house and get you some help while you can. Thank you.
In the counseling world, we call that crippling core beliefs. That statement, that what's done in the house, stay in the house, that's a crippling core belief.
Absolutely.
So if it's put inside of you as a child, it's a crippling, it will cripple you. And you're exactly right.
Right. Okay, so I just got the word that you got 15 minutes left. So what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and let Laura answer the question. I'm gonna give Laura just a little more time. Laura, I want you to ask the question. The question was no, I did not forget the question. I didn't forget
it was time to leave.
When did you know it's time to leave?
When you know it's time to leave. It was there. I didn't want to come out. And then we're gonna give you about 5 minutes to answer that question, Laura, and then we're gonna let the panelists and everybody have their closing statements, anything that they want to get out that they didn't get out. We're gonna give you maybe a minute or two each one, y'all, including the actors. So go ahead and give their final closing statement. Then we're gonna turn it back over to the hands of our host, Reginald. So Laura, go ahead. When did you know it was time to get out?
I knew it was time to get out when my daughter was in trouble. I was told I'd never have a child due to a lot of health issues that I had. So when I got pregnant, it was a miracle. Like, I'm not supposed to be pregnant. Here I am, pregnant. Okay. He's cussing me. We're fighting, we're arguing. He's accusing me of cheating on him all the time. Everything that Terrence was doing to Sable in the play, I saw me. I had tears in my eyes, remembering and going back to all of that. Anyhow, so the day came with the remote. It was my birthday. And again, with the play, it was my birthday. And we got into an argument because I wanted to move back to Florida, or at least to Georgia, to be closer to my family, because I missed my family. I had no one of Caribbean culture there in North Carolina where we were that I could relate to. I felt isolated. I felt tucked away. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. If I did go out, I had to have somebody with me, like his sister, his cousin, his aunt. It was crazy. I just thought it was crazy. And now here I am. I'm about to have a baby. The baby comes. She's premature. We spend 6 weeks in the NICU. Literally, I did not leave the NICU. I refused to leave my baby. And he's mad at me for that. So, of course, all these things are going on in the back of my head. And I'm just like, this is crazy. This is ridiculous. You mad at me for spending the time at the NICU instead of being with you. We just had a daughter who's fighting practically for her life right now. And you're mad at me for not being home with you. This is crazy. So we get out the hospital, whatever. Okay, I'm home. It's my birthday. All these things have happened now by this point. So I'm telling him again, we need to move. We need to do better. We need more. I can't live like this in a 2-bedroom apartment, working a little part-time job. We need more. I want more. And he's thinking I'm crazy. I need too much. I'm too needy. Whatever. It gets, it's just verbal. We're going back and forth, yelling, screaming. He starts calling me out my name. Now I'm really upset. I can't believe he's calling me out my name. We're going back and forth, yelling, screaming, fighting, whatever. This is verbal. It's all verbal at this point. We go to bed. I sleep in the room. He sleeps in the living room. The next day, remember that was my birthday. We argue, we fight, whatever. Next day comes and we back at it again. We're yelling, screaming, cussing, carrying on because we're upset. We're still mad at each other. Nothing was resolved. Nothing was finished. He was holding our daughter as he was sitting on the couch. And I don't know what I said. I can't remember because, I mean, that was so many years ago. Our daughter is now 9 years old. But whatever I said, he got upset. And he drew back like this with the remote to throw it. And when he released the remote, I watched our daughter roll to the edge of his lap. And at that moment, you know how they say it's like a light bulb goes off? Light bulb went off. And I said, if my daughter got hurt, I told him to his face. I said, if my daughter, I didn't say our at that point, because I didn't care about him. If my daughter got hurt today, I told him he would be 6 feet under and I would be in jail, which means our daughter would be, I don't know where she would be, probably with the state. So I told him, before that happens, I'm going to get my stuff and I'm going to leave. He didn't believe me. He told me, yeah, okay, I'll see you later. He went to work. When he went to work, I called my mother. I told her everything that happened and she begged me. The same thing that was said, I don't remember who said it, but, and I'm sure it was more than one person now that I'm thinking about it. The same thing you guys said, my mother actually told me, believe it or not. She said, today he threw a remote control at you. Tomorrow it could be a bullet. It could be you. She said, I don't want to find my daughter in a ditch. She said, my mother, and this is real, I'm not making this up. I can show you guys the scar in my chest. I've been pronounced dead multiple times. My mother said, me and God had too many conversations for you to be here right now. Get your shit, excuse my language, and get out now. She said, I don't give a damn if you have a job. I don't give a damn what you do have, what you don't have. Get your baby, get your shit, and get out. And when my mother told me to get out, all I could do was listen at that point. And I left. I waited till he went to work. I left him a note and I told him, I don't know when I'm coming back. I don't know if I'm coming back, but I got to go now because if I stay, it's not going to be pretty. And I literally left that day, packed up my car with all my daughter's things, whatever could fit. I had a 2-door 1995 Honda Civic DX. It was green. It had no AC. And I drove from North Carolina to North Georgia. And I finally had to stop. But it was me and my daughter. I had no job. I had $100 and something in my bank account. And I left. And that it was my mother and my daughter. Because all I could do was think was, Jesus Christ, you blessed me with this child. And I am supposed to protect her, and she's not being protected right now. And that's what made me leave. I had to go. Wow. I couldn't stay any longer.
Wow. I'm so wow.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing.
One thing, Lord, from the time that, how long were you with him taking the mental and verbal abuse?
We were together for about 3 years, all in total. But the abuse, as it was stated, verbally and emotionally was interchanged. It was from the beginning. It was, and I didn't think it was anything because we met online. Okay. So all we could do was converse and talk because we didn't live with each other at that time. So I just thought, oh, he just really loves me. He doesn't want anybody else to have me. He's scared. I'm pretty. So he thinks, somebody's going to take me away from him. It's so sweet. That's so cute. Oh, and it just got more and more and more. Once I moved in, it just exploded.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing.
I'm so glad you shared. Thank you so much. Wow. And that's a piece. That's something that wow. I don't know what. Well, I'm glad you got out, and I'm glad you were able to get out because like I said, it started with a remote, but it would have grown to something else, to a book, to a TV, to the table, to the car, to even on you. or a bullet. And I'm so glad. At this time, we're going to start with the panelists, and I don't have any particular order in which I'll go in. You all just go in and give your final remarks. You can speak on something. You can speak on what Sister Laura just said, and you can just go in and give your final remarks on domestic violence. And you got maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then we can go into the actors, and then we'll go into our host.
Well, first, let me just say congratulations again to the one and only Reginald Wilson. Thank you for keeping the message alive. I want to say that we have to have some type of assessment. And while you were talking, I thought about my niece Carl. She had recently got married, and she called me and said, "I think I made a mistake. I've been verbally abused. This and this is happening." And I asked her one question. I said, I'm gonna ask you one question. The question is your sanity being affected? Is your synergy being affected? Is your salvation being affected? Your safety and your success? She said, "I think all of those." And so at that point in time, I began to look at an assessment with relationships as it pertains to abuse. So if your sanity, your safety, your salvation, and those particular things are being affected, I encourage people to get out. And I think it's important for us to know that, especially those who are in the helping profession, pastors and leaders, we have to know the right questions to ask. And based on that assessment, and in my last statement I make, when we studied abnormal psychology, they asked us about the 4 Ds. Is the relationship dysfunctional? Is it distressed? Are you in danger? Is there deviance that might lead to criminogenic behavior? If you say yes to all of those questions, then you need to get out. There has to be an assessment made, because the relationship, like she said, there were red flags before she ever said "I do." And so that's why premarital counseling is important. That's why post-marital counseling is important within the marriage and post-marital counseling. And so with that, again, congratulations, Mr. Wilson. I look forward to seeing the play on stage. Thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, I would like to say congratulations again. Great work. And what I would suggest to everybody is that we can't change the whole world ourselves individually, but we definitely can brighten up the corner around where we are. We need to love people enough to make a difference in their life. If there's someone that's showing some signs and symptoms of abuse, we need to care enough to try to intervene. I believe that God called us to do one of 2 things, either to intervene or to intercede. If we can't help them physically, we definitely can pray enough for them, and that God will intervene on that sense. And Elder Wilson, Brother Wilson, I thank God for you, for this become another opportunity and another avenue that you can to bring spotlight to this awareness that maybe it would affect the lives of some other people somewhere to get some help. So we have an obligation, I believe, not just to the abusee, but also to the abuser. So let's do as much as we can to try to help people come to some balance in their life, and to bring healing even to the people that we are around. God bless you.
Again, Reginald. I want to thank you so very much for the opportunity to serve on this panel, and to all of you, all of your comments and everything. Laura, to you, Pastor Wilson, everything has been absolutely fantastic. And as we move through this pandemic, we were talking with someone from the refuge house and stuff. The domestic violence is on a high right now. Home is safe to a lot of us, but to a lot of people, home is not safe. And so we're praying that God will help us through this and to help with wisdom, give people help, and pray that their mind will come through. I believe that there's a lot of people ready to get out. I believe that. And they're afraid. So with wisdom, we can help them move. And as I said, I'm speaking to a lot of domestic violence because people who've been abused verbally, emotionally, and all, so we can really help them get out on a way to help them maneuver out of this. And they start, you watch the movie enough with that safety plan, putting the money in place and all of that, that is vitally important. Vitally important. So again, Reginald, thank you. And nice meeting all of you all. Great job.
Thank you.
As a panelist, I'd like to once again give kudos to this stellar cast and to this awesome playwright, to the panelists, to Laura for sharing your personal story. Thank you all so very much. As an individual, I would say when you find out that your self-esteem is so low and is so far down the tube, think of some ways you can change the trajectory of your life. It may mean getting more education, finding your own job, making your own provisions, whatever it takes to get yourself out, get out. As a group, I like to use the theme that FAMU PD, FAMU Police Department use. If you see something, say something. It's time for us to stop being quiet, to open our mouth and help our sisters and brothers. Let's lift somebody up. As a minister, a pastor, or whatever, I want my life to be the mirror that reflects the image of Christ, not only while I'm preaching on Sunday morning, but every day of my life. I want someone to see the Christ in me. And to see the Christ in me, and you know that I abhor evil. And I want to make sure that if there's anything I can do to help you as one person to make it happen. Once again, I was so honored to be a part of this cast. Thank you, Moderator Wilson, for your excellent job you've done tonight. Thank you again to everybody. This has been just phenomenal. I have certainly enjoyed this opportunity. Thank you for this forum, and I look forward to additional forums in the future. You all be blessed in the Lord.
Thank you.
Any add to what I anything? Any add to?
I just want to say to Laura that, I mean, just hearing your story is, I know that's one of many, but just hearing your story makes this all, people think theater is just entertainment, but an important part for me, because I teach theater, is that you're educating about things that are relevant to what we're dealing with in society. So it's not just entertainment, that somebody may hear this story and do something. So the whole thing about if you see something, say something. Because I was a foster care counselor for a while, so I've seen the gamut of stuff. And I think Laura said it about, it's probably not a Caribbean thing, but it's a Black thing. And I've learned in the Black households that I had to go get children out of situations, they knew things were going on all that time. And what we've done is we send Johnny to go live with somebody else if he's messing around with somebody in the house, instead of saying something. And I know this is domestic abuse, but it happens with, child abuse and all kind of things within our culture. And I don't know where that stems from. Somebody can help me figure that out. But we have to stop that cycle, and we have to talk about it. I don't care if it's your brother, your sister, your uncle, whoever, because it's as many women abusers as there are men abusers, and people don't talk about that. Because there are women who abuse their husbands and abuse their partners and abuse their children. So I'm just honored to be a part of this as an actor. And I think theater educates and it makes a level playing field for everybody, and it brings people together to talk about things like this. So thank you. Thank you, Reggie and Fulton and Laura, for your story, and these panelists. It just warms my heart that we could get this out here.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Well, Reggie, we're gonna turn it over to you, the playwright. If you all can, just unmute your phones for a second and just give the playwright a hand. And if we can take one hand, we're gonna go ahead and turn it over to the final marks to Reggie. and let Reggie go forth and close out.
All right. First of all, I want to thank everyone, especially my cast, especially Fulton. The way this came about this year, well, this time was Fulton. We were talking. I don't know what we were talking about on the phone, but I try to keep in contact with Fulton because we have such a great relationship in New York and outside. And I was talking to Fulton, and Fulton made mention of the fact that we were quarantined and it's nothing to do, and he wants to direct, and I'm sitting, my eyes are sitting there just lighting up, and I'm like, oh, you do? Oh, you do, huh? Well, then let's make this happen. If you want to direct, let's make this happen. And I tell you, Fulton was like, all right, I'll do it. I put a message out on Facebook. And I said, if you want to be a part of the reading, send me your stuff. Rhonda. Well, I didn't give Gil a chance. I just called Gil and was like, Gil, I'm doing the play. You Woody. So Rhonda hit me up quick. Arlene hit me up quick. I mean, the cast was assembled so fast that I know it was shocking to Fulton when I called him like, yeah, I got a cast. He's like, oh, okay. All right. So when we gonna start? Now the thing about the starting of it was I still had to do some rewrites, and I hadn't really did the rewrites yet. But the cast was ready. They were like, send the script now. And so I sent the script to the cast, and we did our first read. And I just want to give kudos to the cast because they helped me with the rewrite so much. They helped me because, they were listening as we were reading. And they were telling me some pointers like, this needs to happen, this needs to happen. And I'm not that stubborn child. I mean, not no more. I took those notes. I took those notes and I applied them. And not only that, I called Fulton. I called Fulton and I called my mentee, Keith. And I said, Fulton, what do you think? Fulton said, well, why don't you try it this way? Because Fulton is a playwright. Many people don't know this. Fulton is a playwright. And he writes a lot. And you probably saw some stuff that he's written already. But Fulton is good. So I got my team together, and when I'm almost lost for words, especially like when we got the official script and we did the reading, and my mission and my vision for Scrambled Egg, for Faith Steps Productions, is social awareness, promote social awareness. So Laura, not only Laura, but since I've started this process with Fulton, and I've been hitting on Facebook, this play is about domestic violence. This play is about domestic violence. It's about awareness. It's about awareness. It's about awareness. So many people have contacted me and said, yeah, I went through this, or I went through that. And I'm like, wait, you did? You did? I would have never known. You hid it so well. So my vision for this play was fulfilled tonight. My vision was to open the discussion, to open the mouths. The people who can't talk, who haven't talked, they're gonna see somebody in this play that they identify with. And hopefully once they identify with that person, they will be able to open up. And they will be able to say, you know what? Even the people that's viewing the play, that may be sitting right beside their abusers right now. They may be trying to figure out a way to get out right now. Because they're like, wait a minute, why did we move all the way over here to Wisconsin? Why I can't get no job? Wait a minute, you only making enough to pay the bills. And sometimes we hungry. Let me work. I want people to identify those things. I did so much research on with the help of D. Jerome Garrett. I did so much research on the different forms of domestic violence. Financial abuse. That was something that was so new to me. It was so new to me because I did not know that it was abuse if I tell my lady when she get her paycheck, all right, go buy this, go buy that, go buy this, go buy that. I can't tell her what to do with her money. It's her money. Now she's married, and of course, in a good marriage, both of them will be at agreement, and they will have already arrangements for money. But at no point can I tell her what to do with her money. And when I learned that, that's what I researched the most. I researched that the most because I was like, wait a minute. No, that's not making sense. This not making sense because if we're married together, we got all these bills together, then of course the bills have to be paid. But then through all of my reading, I realized like your wife is not, or your mate is not dumb. They're not a fool. They know that those bills have to be paid. Y'all went into those bills in agreement. The problem comes when you telling her what to do with her extra money, what you telling her what to do with her spending money. When you telling her, give me $30 of your spending money, let me get that bag of weed. Don't worry about my money. So that financial abuse, right, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. That's what's been holding me with this place, Scrambled Eggs. I want people to learn. I want people to keep discussions going. I'm surprised Fulton didn't have anything else to say because he says so much and he enlightens us so much when we're in rehearsal. He's kind of quiet tonight.
No, what it is, probably the only thing that I would ask of everybody after listening to the play and, taking it in, if there is anything that in there that you have comments about, if this is okay, does this work and stuff, I would ask that you send it to Reggie, okay, send it to me, okay, so that we can discuss this, so that we can even make it more concrete. That's one of the things that, because I'm getting, information from some of the people that listened to it that I had come on board and listened to, and I asked them for their feedback. So that feedback is going to go to you, Reggie, and we're going to discuss that and talk about it, and we're going to make it even more concrete. That's probably the only, everybody, I take it, everybody's messages, and I want to say a big shout out to you, Laura, for your courage and for coming on and giving us this information and such. Okay, so what it is to read when I'm quiet, that means my mind is working. You know that. My mind is working because I'm very, very into that creative process. So, we'll talk about it on a more level, Reggie, at some point, okay?
Good deal. All right, so that's pretty much what I have to say. I know a lot of people have been inboxing myself and they have been inboxing Fulton about how to donate or whatever you want to do. I will tell you that this play goes up every October. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. That's why we wore our purple and white and our purple and black. So I'm going to post it on my page. I did not want to talk money because I'm not asking for money because this is free. But for anybody who does want to donate to the cause, there is a Cash App for the ministry that I'm under, which is $IAMMINI2. I just said $I am ministry 2. That is the Cash App if anyone wants to send a donation. I will put it on my Facebook and on the Faith Steps Productions page because everything that we do for Faith Steps, we do it. We do it from whatever we got. When we did Scrambled Eggs before, it was whatever me and D. Rome had in our pocket. we really had to put some stuff together. And then I remember the truck broke down. We rented a truck to take the set. The truck broke down. Next thing you know, we had to get people to put stuff in their personal cars. We got to the set. We had people to put up their own personal props. So everything that we do for Faith Steps Productions is a faith step. Faith steps means forget all impossible thought hindrances as you start to enter promised success. So everything we do, we walk out on faith. We just say, all right, let's get it, let's do it, and it's always made a way. So if anybody wants to leave a donation, just make sure you put in the memo line Scrambled Eggs or Faith Steps Productions. Again, it's $, I am ministry 2. $IAMMINISTRY. I'm going to give it back over to my older brother, my twin, Jonathan Wilson. But Jonathan, I just ask you for one thing. When we go out, can we have D. Jerome sing the theme song to Scrambled Eggs as we log out?
All right now.
I don't know why he keep calling me a twin, because I mean, if you look at our size, you see different size. but yeah, he likes to proclaim that I am only 362 days older than him, because his birthday is September 10th and mine 13th. But I'm still older, so we know who's older. But I just want to say thank you all for being on. Thank you all for what you've given us. Domestic violence is real, and it's something that we certainly need to keep talking about and keep speaking about. I'm quite sure that even though it may say that the views were low, but it was shared on so many pages, and people may take the time to look at this and maybe begin to speak out and talk about this, because it needs to. We need to understand that we can get past this, and we can get over it, and it's something that needs to be spoken about. So I thank you all for the wonderful job you did. And one other thing that we didn't speak about in this thing was the children. Let's not forget the children that are in the midst of these domestic violences, because they too see it, and we don't want to raise up a generation of domestic violencers. We want to raise up a generation of people that will love their spouses and love their loved ones. And so let's mind what we pray for the peace and the mind of the children and keep going forward. And at this time, I'm done what I'm saying. I thank you, Reggie, for the opportunity to moderate. I almost said no. But I thank you for the opportunity to moderate. I think the opportunity to meet. I have heard so much about you so much. But I think it's my first time ever seeing you face to face. Even though we on Zoom. It's a Zoom to get us to see each other. But Reggie speaks about you so much. And so it was nice to meet you. Woody, you did a wonderful job with Woody. I keep going by my mouth. So at this time, we're gonna ask Dr. D. Jerome Garrett, and just to say this about D. Jerome. One day I was talking to D. Jerome about something that I was going through, and D. Jerome said these words to me, and I don't know if he remembers saying this to me, but it has traveled with me throughout ever, and I say this all the time. And I'm not stealing it. I'm telling you now, it was said by D. Jerome, not by me. But he said to me, I was telling him about something I was going through, and he said, you need to stop having imaginations. And I was like, imaginations? What are you talking about, imaginations? And he said, you need to start having images of other nations. And that hit me so deep. I said, wow. He said, what happens is you get stuck in your situation, and it gives you images of other nations. So he said, you need to stop having those imaginations and start coming back to reality. And so I don't want to know that stuck with me. You said a long time ago, but it has stuck with me ever since then. And I haven't used that now in my counsel session when I counsel people. I tell them to stop having them imaginations. Get out them images and come back to reality. So thank you again. And we're gonna let D. Jerome sing with his God-anointed voice the theme song to this. And as he's singing, when he's done, you're free to go and stay how you want to go. I thank you all. You all have a great, wonderful night, and be blessed.
I would do a portion of it. It says, scrambled eggs, crack and beat them, fry them in a pan now. Don't you be like those scrambled eggs, stand up for what you believe in. One more time. Scrambled eggs, crack them, beat them, fry them in a pan. Don't you be like those scrambled eggs, stand up for what you believe in. Domestic violence is not cool. A man who beats a woman is a fool. Abuse, no, it's not cool. Spiritual, emotional, I don't know. There's no excuse. Scrambled egg, bum bum bum. Scrambled egg, crack 'em, beat 'em, fry 'em in a pan. Don't you be like those scrambled eggs. Stand up for what you believe in.
All right.
Scrambled eggs.
Y'all seen Laura Door Dance in the background?
Yeah, that's
All right.
what we're
Thank you for everybody who has tuned in.
Reggie, that's our opening song. That's the opening song for the play.
We are going to post the video live.